What's going on, my friends? It's your boy Dave Sharpe. Hello, good morning. Wake up, legendary. I'll be cleaning the protein bar out of my teeth here as I introduce our guest this morning. I typically, try to do all of that before the show, but it is what it is. This is real life, people. And I just took the final bites of my breakfast here as I was logging on. Of course, grabbed a shirt off the floor, and here we are. And I love the title of this morning's show, From Stressed to Blessed. This entrepreneur finds success with digital marketing. She has had a massive last kind of 30-ish days. July was an insane month for her. She actually purchased our blueprints on December 30th of last year. And she is an affiliate of Legendary, which again isn't a requirement and everybody doesn't always do. But she hit platinum on July 29th of this year. So you can see this girl's on a mission. This girl is on fire. Audrey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. I won't sing anymore for the rest of the episode, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, my kind of commitment to everybody's well-being. So tell us where you're calling in from.
I am calling in from Virginia, Northern Virginia. Yeah.
Northern Virginia. What? There's a song up there by, I think it's John Dillon or something. Is it where it's like the mountain song and it's kind of about, oh, that's West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's West Virginia.
Close by though.
Totally different state.
Here.
Okay. So what in the heck led you? I mean, you seem like you have the whole world, your whole life in front of you. Could be doing anything, be anywhere in the world, but you've chosen to be here and do this. What led you here? What were you looking for, and have you found it?
Yeah. Around, I think like May of last year, my husband and I were talking about wanting to start a family. And we knew that when we did that, we wanted me to be able to quit my full-time job so that I could stay home with the kids, homeschool them, all that good stuff. And just looking at finances, realizing, within the time frame we wanted to have kids, we weren't going to be at the point financially we wanted to be when starting a family. So I set out looking for a side hustle, just something to bring in. My goal was to bring in $500 a week, pay off our, $2,000 a month mortgage so that we could put an extra $2,000 in savings every month and get us to the point we wanted to be. And so I started off searching. I was looking into everything from drop shipping to remote closing to, print on demand, all the stuff you see online, and nothing was really working out for me. And then I came across a mom doing affiliate marketing, I think maybe in October or November, and found out about it through that, started doing independent research, ended up taking the course that she got started with, which was Legendary. And it all kind of, just snowball effect from there. And definitely have found what I'm looking for sure.
And you've congratulations on your success too. You should be very proud of yourself. I know your family is. We certainly are. And I mean, how's it feel? How's just a feelings check-in here before, like, how does it feel to have failed? I read your questionnaire. You quote failed, and actually even were involved in a legitimately fraudulent, I shouldn't use those two words, in a fraudulent course. I guess it was actually a scam. So you've not only had your challenges, but you've also been involved with some sketchy people online, just trying to learn and trying to figure this all out. How does it finally feel to be successful and having this level of success that you're having?
Unbelievable. I mean,
for real? I mean, did it really hit you yet?
No, like my husband and I mean, we just look at the numbers and we're like, this doesn't feel real. Like we just look at each other and we're like, is this real? But it's in our bank account, so it's real. It's definitely surreal. Had no idea how far I could come with this, but just so blessed and so grateful for it, truly.
Well, this is I'm going to say a number here, and I'm going to say it not with the intention of saying that this is going to happen for everyone or even anyone. And I will say that the majority of people who buy any how-to products online make no money at all. So with that disclaimer, and there's no buts or no, any of that. It's just that's the legitimate facts. If you want to make money or be successful with something, anything, you have to put in the hard work. You have to stick with it. We're going to talk about what you're doing that's been so successful for you, but I think you made 32,000 last week in your affiliate marketing business. I mean, it's just silly.
Yeah. That's half of what I used to make in a year.
And I'm grabbing another one.
Where have I been?
Yeah, I hear you. It's like, are you blown away that this exists and you almost gave up maybe on online ventures because of your bad experiences before?
Yeah. I mean, I was so just skeptical. I mean, that course was $1,000 and we were not, financially, that was a big deal for us at that point. And when I, got scammed by that course and then still went on trying to make it work, just using free resources on Google and YouTube, tried 2 other times to do drop shipping. I was very skeptical of all courses from that point on. So I actually didn't even sign up for the $7 course right when I found it. I waited it out a few weeks, looked into Legendary. I did my research on y'all.
You were like, I'm not giving up either.
Even though it was $7, which I know. I was just like, if this is a scammer, you're not getting any of my money. So I did my own research first. I tried to get in, look into affiliate marketing for several weeks on my own research on Google and YouTube. And I say this a lot on my social medias, but I ended up just feeling like my brain was just, there's so much information circling around and I couldn't just figure out, step by step what to do and bringing it all together, even though there's so much information out there and I was able to watch videos, it just wasn't coming together. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to pay the $7, looked into the course, looks legit. And even if it's not $7. So that's when I decided to give it a go. And thank God that I did.
Yeah. And I mean, you've invested in your education here fully and wholeheartedly. I mean, you enrolled in our blueprints, you've kind of dove in head first. What was that like for you to make even a bigger commitment, put more skin in the game? And are you happy that you did now looking back?
Yeah. It was definitely a big decision. That was a lot of money for us. And I guess I'd gotten to the point, and actually day 4 of the challenge helped me with this mindset. It was a mindset shift of you have to be willing to invest in order to see return. And I, was trying to decide what to do about the blueprints when the discount was provided. And I just thought to myself, I have invested nearly a year of my time on my own. And I hoped that investing money into a tool like the blueprints would make a difference for me because I'd already invested a ton of time. And it turns out it did, right? And it was definitely worth every single penny. But yeah, we threw them on a credit card. I intend to pay it off a little bit at a time. And I'm not recommending that and saying that you should do that. But that was what we did. It was a risk, right? But without risk, there's no reward. So it was worth it.
You're saying all the real things, right? Not the right things, the real things. And what everybody has to determine is what's right for you. You have to make, the beautiful thing is, and this is why we shouldn't ask other people, like, did you do this? That's sort of like adolescent in a way. And that's not to be shaming or rude. Here's why, is because what I learned as an adult that I didn't really understand as an adolescent was that I'm the one who has to figure things out on my own. I'm the one who has to have my own experience and then own that experience. And I'm ultimately the one who is going to have to take responsibility for whatever decision that I make, even if somebody else influenced me. It would look silly for me to say, well, they said that they did it, right? That would just be like immature. Nobody would do that, right? But going into things, we always kind of want to know what other people are doing and have other people kind of make the decision for us. That's really what we're asking people to do, is make this decision for me, right? Yeah. And it's so empowering when we begin to, for example, I'll give you an analogy of this, not take somebody's word that Jill is a jerk, and instead go and meet Jill and have our own experience with Jill and make our own determination if she is somebody who we want to have in our life,
Right.
instead of negatively or positively assuming something. And so I invite everybody who's listening to this right now, to embrace making your own decisions, because they are going to come with your own set of challenges, but they're going to be your challenges, and you're going to get to take the credit for it, and you're going to get to have your self-esteem be built because you took ownership of the choice and then took ownership of the result, which leads me to ask you, how has your esteem, your self-esteem, how has your confidence, what have you learned, how has that been affected? And what have you learned about Audrey that you didn't know, or that you have been reintroduced to yourself in a certain way?
Yeah. My confidence is definitely, it's been very empowering knowing that I signed up, I invested and took risk on an educational tool that was pricey for the point that I was at that point. But what I knew going into it was, whether I fail or succeed, it's my own responsibility. This is up to me. This is an education, right? It's not get rich quick overnight. It's not anything guaranteed. This is education. And it was up to me about what I was going to do with it. And I knew that I had the determination for my family, for my future kids, to do something with this. And I set my mind to it, and I believed I could do it. And I did. And to now see the fruits of all of that labor and all of that hard work from the beginning, and just kind of like that stepping out, taking a risk, is incredible. It makes me feel very confident that I could do anything that I set my mind to. And maybe that sounds a little cliche, but it really does make me feel that way. And it makes me feel like, I could, even if I wasn't doing affiliate marketing tomorrow, using the tools and everything that I've learned with my mindset, I could go out there and start another business tomorrow and see success. And it might take time, right? It always takes time, and it takes consistency, but being able to know and see that about myself, and see that I've proved something that I believed about myself, is just incredible. It makes me proud to know that other people are proud of me. My husband's so proud of me, my in-laws, my mom. Yeah, just rocks my world. So
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
no, you finish.
And as for what I've learned about myself, it's that I am a harder worker than I even thought that I was, because there were some really rough months. The beginning of this year, my health took a really bad decline, and I've struggled with health issues throughout, ever since I was probably in college, and it took a really bad decline. And there were several months there where it was really, really rough. And to be able to push through that, even when my physical health was struggling, my mental health, and come out on the other side of it and see success, has just shown me that, like, it makes me feel like a badass. Like, it really does. And so it's been cool to learn and see that about myself, that I can push through even when struggling with things that are out of my control. So, yeah.
And it sounds like you're beginning to sort of realize kind of what I mean, and in your own way, how to turn your struggles into your strengths, how to turn your mess into a message, not only for others, but also for yourself, right? One of the biggest, the most important person that we're ever going to inspire through this process is ourselves, for Christmas sakes. This is not about going out and being the guru to everybody else. The first person that we have to inspire daily is ourselves, with our own story, with our own efforts, even before our accomplishments. And you just said something that was really powerful. You said it rocks your world that all these people are like proud of you, and you're proud of you, right? You're feeling that pride, that legitimate, honest, deep, real, authentic pride, not, the arrogant, egotistical pride, that's kind of weird and is sort of self-sabotagey for all of us, and we all have it in us, but that real legitimate kind of esteem and pride. And you sound like you're you're inspired by your own story now versus needing to look at outside people, places, and things, but particularly people to be inspirational to you? Have you had that shift to where you are now driven by your own success story and even the story of where you came from, and now are feeling more accountable to your audience versus seeking validation from a guru or, somebody in your family or whatever like that?
Definitely. 100% for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and it's inspirational to hear that. It's inspirational to see somebody who is inspired by their own story, because we all love a hero's journey, right? And so you're seeing your hero's journey playing out right in front of your eyes, right? And you're starting to learn how to tell your story, right? And so what was it like for you as you went through education, which is powerful, but is also a safe place because we're not doing anything yet, right? Like, we're not putting anything out into the world yet. So what was it like for you to step out of the comfort of just, being educated and kind of getting started to then, like, for example, filming your first video?
Yeah, that was hard for me because I don't know if you're familiar with like the Colby Index score. It's something that I had to take for the last job that I was at. But basically, it kind of gauges how you approach work and just decisions in life in general. And I'm a very high research, but not a very high quick start. I like to gather all the facts and know everything about something before I do it, because when I do it, I want to do it to the best of my ability. And it scares me if I start doing something and don't feel like I'm a pro at it when I start. And so that's why, even though I started the blueprints in January and set up my LLC and had everything ready to go, I didn't actually start posting videos until March 6th. And that's 2 months of time that, yes, part of it was just education going through the videos, but I definitely spent more time than I needed to, just because of my own tendency to take, detailed notes of every single video I'm watching. And to go from that, it finally just got to the point where I was like, okay, there's so much information in the blueprints and so much to master, and I don't have to do it before I start and launch this business. It's okay. I can do it. I still go back to the blueprints, even to this day, when I want to improve something, want to learn something more, or maybe there's a video I didn't get to watch yet. But just getting to the point where I was like, okay, just make the first video, just get it out there. It doesn't have to be the most insane, world changing video. Just get it out there and start making it. And I wasn't comfortable on camera. I had never made a TikTok or anything like that before in my life. Not even very active on my personal social medias. So that was weird for me. But once you started doing it, I was like, it's easier than I thought, because it feels like I'm talking to myself. Like, I'm filming a TikTok. It's my face on the screen. I'm just sitting here talking to myself like I talk, in the mirror or something.
Right.
So it's a lot easier than you think once you just start doing it. And you can start practicing, just start making videos. You don't have to post every single one at the beginning, but just get comfortable with it. And so just get yourself out of the comfort zone. I mean, that was a little bit difficult for me because it did feel safe and comfortable over here in the education, but I was like, okay, but I'm not actually doing anything that's going to start making me money. Like, my bank account's not growing at all. Like, I got to actually take action. So getting to that point was, took a little time, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who can relate. It's nice to also be able to sometimes put a label, as much as we like most of the time don't like labels. Like, it's like, don't label me. Well, in as you're growing and as you're learning about yourself, it actually is nice to have language to put to some of your behaviors or tendencies or personality styles, like the one that you just mentioned. There's a lot of different personality tests that you can take that will help you to understand yourself better. You mentioned the Colby test.
Yeah, Colby Index.
Colby Index, and that's Kolbe.
Yeah.
Okay, the Colby Index. There's also several other. There's the Myers-Briggs personality test. I mean, you can really just Google personality test and kind of go down a whole, a whole rabbit hole of, like, different personality tests and different, just different little things to where you could kind of learn about yourself and not particularly label yourself, but to give yourself language, and also to give yourself a little bit of a, a little bit more of an understanding and even compassion towards yourself,
Mhm.
because you may feel like you're just this procrastinator, and you may negatively label or associate, you may attach negative meaning to how you describe yourself. And there may actually be rhyme and reason to the way that your brain operates and works. And there's probably a lot of gifts that come along with what you are interpreting only as a curse,
Yeah.
right? And probably the gifts that come along. And why don't you say, I mean, what are some of the positive aspects, just so everybody here, we can do this sort of in real life? It's sort of like everybody immediately hears that part of your story and is like, oh my God, me too. Like, and it's sort of like this, oh, I may not be able to, or that's only a negative aspect of my personality. But where has that, or how has that part of your personality also served you in a positive way in your life?
Yeah, I would say one clear thing that just came to my mind is improving my social media strategy as far as just putting in research as I kind of went. I got out there, just started making videos, realizing, putting in, because I am a big research person, starting to take notice of what's working, what's not working, looking at what other people are doing that's doing, really well for them. What are they doing differently from me? And being always learning, like be a child, always try to learn and
Mm,
figure out what you could be doing a little bit better. And you don't have to go out and change your entire business overnight, but even if you implement one change per week to improve what you're doing, whether it's like lighting in your videos, a little bit of clearer feed, put your text a little bit smaller on screen so people aren't bombarded with just words everywhere, little things like that helped me. If you go back and look at some of my older videos, it's like I'm cringing right now, but it's a good reference point to look at where I started and where I've come. And a lot of that was just because of research, because I started putting in time and slowly changing and improving what I was doing. So that's
mm.
definitely a way it's positively worked for me for sure.
Off the backboard for that one. I mean, you just took what, you showed us the negative side of that coin, which is procrastination. That sort of personality type, to where you do a lot of research, and you spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready, right? It's sort of like, oh my God, oh, that's a bad thing. I'm a procrastinator. And you gave us the other side of the coin, which is that once you do get started, which is what you really need to keep in mind with that sort of personality type, is that you need to, as you're learning, you need to remember just to implement, to
Mhm.
not just stay on the learning train. And
Yeah.
sometimes you may have a tendency to overwhelm yourself with information and not stop and say, okay, I've got enough information here. It's time to go and test it in the real world. Now,
Yeah.
once you do, let's look at the other side of the coin, right? Because there's always two sides to every coin. And this is a lesson that I hope everybody takes away from them this morning, is that all of the negative traits that you may, or things that you may think are bad, or or liabilities, also have some sort of a positive gift to that quote unquote curse. So the benefit of that type of personality that you have is that once you do put something into action, you become so, like, childlike in terms of learning and looking at other people to see how you can constantly improve your strategy. So
Mhm.
and as you pointed out, your videos have evolved so much over time, that your older videos, which were only just a couple of months ago, which is crazy, are cringeworthy to you. Not 10 years ago, just a couple of months. So that goes to show how fast, actually, we just a moment ago thought you were a big giant procrastinator by the way you were describing yourself. What we've now realized is that your success has come from you realizing that you can be a deep researcher, but you took action and then constantly changed and evolved over time. Does that feel like it fits?
Definitely. Yeah. And you can't, it's so hard if you try to put yourself in this box of, and that's how I naturally am, of wanting to know everything when you start. You can't implement things as you're changing. And if you're trying to know, 1,000 different facts about how to post videos and post them well and reach the right people before you even start doing it, it's just not going to happen. You're going to literally be paralyzed by that. It's so much easier to just start and work with what you've got. Change a little bit at a time. You have time, and that's been a huge, it's changed everything for me, really. That's what took my account from, 2,000 followers after like 2.5 months to less than, or maybe a little over a month later, grew over 100,000 followers on Instagram. So that's, yeah.
Okay. So, that's a massive, and it wasn't just one viral video that did that for you. It's been a strategy, and it's been constant improvement that you can sort of track back. Okay. Like when I started doing this. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I know that you've made some significant changes in a very short period of time. Let's just say some significant improvements. You've evolved yourself. This is the path to success that we teach here at Legendary and constantly talk about. And it's the reason why we don't give people like, here's the exact template. Just do this. Just say this. Just copy these videos. Because the truth is that, yes, we all need a starting place. We all need that first video. We all need to get that first video out. And a lot of us start by copying and kind of modeling and looking at what other people are doing. And we don't even understand what we're doing at first. But once we do understand what we're doing, which a lot of that comes through going through the education. And as you have talked about, also kind of getting stuff out there. And then once you get it out there, you understand it more. You never fully understand it until you do it. So all of you who are waiting to try to understand it fully before you do it, it's never going to connect because you will not ever understand it by just sitting in the stands. That you will just never understand what it's like to be a quarterback and have that defensive line rushing you in the stands. Now we can yell, we can say, "You should have thrown it, you son of a gun, get rid of the ball." And we do that a lot, right? We yell at our TVs. But the truth is that it seems like from your reaction, that's been very real for you. What's coming up for you as I say this?
Yeah, it's it's just resonating. There's no way to know what you need to improve or change until you start doing it. And there's no starting point. You have to have a starting point. And so, yeah, once I started, then that's when I was able to slowly improve things and figure out, and everyone has a little bit of a different starting point. Some people might start making videos tomorrow and their videos are just as good as my videos are now. That's taken me 6 months to get to that point. Everyone's starting point is different, but no matter where you start, always work to improve. You can always improve little things here and there. And it doesn't need to be, this, I have to improve something every single day and just one thing a week. That's what I try to do. And yeah, have a starting point, but you got to start to have a starting point.
Yeah. So let's move into what some of the things that you've learned rather quickly and that you have your own experience with to now be able to tell. So, for example, you said in your questionnaire, whatever platform you use to promote your products, it's so worth taking the time to research what works well on that platform. My business really started taking off when I implemented call to actions, for example. So talk to us a little bit about the first statement that you said there and made, which was it's important to understand the difference between the platforms. What does that mean to you? Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So when I started off, I started with just TikTok and Instagram, and my TikTok account did pretty well. I think within like 2 or 3 weeks, I had 12,000 followers, which was just crazy. Couldn't figure out why Instagram was so slow. My views were like 20, 30 views, 100 views, super slow. My following was like 10 people. It was very, very slow. So Instagram was different for me, and I was getting very frustrated by that. And because of that, I started focusing on TikTok a lot. And then my TikTok got banned. And so I had to start a new one. And then that one was pretty slow going. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on Instagram because I like the platform better. I personally like that I can send voice messages in the DMs. I can post stories, show people my life. And it's like, I'm a real person, y'all. Like we can connect a little bit easier, and I can build relationships on Instagram a little bit easier than TikTok. So I personally was just like, you know what, it's going to take time, but I'm going to focus a little bit more on Instagram and try to master that long term. So it took time, but two of the things that I noticed that changed the most for me when it came to views, interaction, engagement, and just finding the right people, finding my targeted audience, was when I implemented call to actions that increase engagement. And two, I started using keywords in the captions. So I repeat my captions. They used to be small, like follow along for more, or link in bio to learn how people are making thousands of dollars, whatever it was not helping the algorithm, the Instagram algorithm, figure out who does this video go to. And so once I started implementing, okay, I'm going to put whatever keyword this video is about. If it's side hustle, if it's remote jobs, I'm going to say that word 3 times minimum in the caption. And just, write out a decently long caption. So it's not just like right in your face. I try to space it out. But once I started doing that, I noticed that it was reaching a lot more people and I was getting followers. And then once I started using call to actions, that wasn't just link in bio, because statistically engagement's less. People want something fast. They want something at their fingertips. If you say comment, learn, and I'll send it right to you, they love that. And that's what started to really increase, because one, I'm getting a lot of comments. People are actually opening up my link a little bit more because it's sent directly to them. They like that better. And my video is getting more engagement because a bunch of comments are getting left on it. And so that's what really changed when I stopped saying just link in bio. And it doesn't have to be comment this word. It can also be save this video. It can also be let me know in the comments what you think about this, or something like that. And that was when it really started to shift for me from stale and kind of like stagnant engagement to just skyrocketing. So those are the two things that I've learned the most. I've learned a lot more than that, but
I just had to. I mean, that was a boulder. That was we don't even drop gold nuggets around here. We drop platinum boulders, and you just definitely backed your dump truck right up in our driveway and dumped quite a few platinum boulders there. People need to experience something specific, original, and different, right? And when there's millions of people that are saying silly, simple things like link in bio, it's so simple, it's so just plain, you've heard it 1,000 times, and then somebody like yourself comes along and says, comment
learn or freedom,
or now, or the number one, or again, freedom, whatever the keyword is. It could be anything. It could be something that's relates to your video. If you were shooting your video by a boat, you could say comment boat. Yeah, I mean, just the more unique and different it is, and then again, I'll send it right to you. It's also combining something unique and different versus the kind of typical link in bio or click the link or whatever, which again is a great call to action. It's a clear call to action, but the thing that it's missing is the novelty of that has already worn off. It's not different anymore. It's something that people have heard 1,000 times. So once you start to introduce some different language, something unique because it relates to what you were saying in the video, it's different all the time and every time, and it really should be, right? Your call to action, if you're saying drop this comment down below, it shouldn't be the same thing every time, because again, the novelty of that will wear off, and that relates in every aspect of life. I mean, back when I was a kid and somebody had a pair of Jordans that I had already seen, I'd be like, I've seen them, but I'd not seen them, I'd be like, dude, It was like, whoa, just from seeing it the first time. You think about anything that you did for the first time in life. But then also the instant gratification of I'll send it right to you. Anything that somebody can, even if you were telling somebody, click the link, download my ebook, and I'll give you the formula right away.
Mhm.
I mean, anything that lets them know that need for that instant gratification is going to be fulfilled is going to get people to react much quicker. And that's one of the 5 aspects of every great promotion, which is a time limit, right? Like there's some sort of a bonus and a time limit,
Right.
that or an aspect of time, right? You're going to get it right away, or you only have a certain amount of time to do it, which is one of the most, it creates urgency. It
Right.
creates a bit of scarcity, right? These are all things that get people to take action versus them thinking that it's just kind of going to be there forever. And you know what? I'll come back and do that later, which is everybody's tendency. And the only reason why people take action on things is because they think that there's some sort of a deadline, or they think that there's some sort of a looming, cliff that they're going to, like, for example, somebody gets sick. We can ignore going to the doctor our whole life. But if all of a sudden we've got a lot of pain, our ass is in that doctor right away. Why? Because now all of a sudden there's time. I don't want to deal with this any longer, right? This hurts. So anytime that, I love that. It's so simple. And I'm just trying to add some additional context because I've been talking about this for years, but it's a beautiful thing when somebody kind of sees how they can apply the principle in their own business and then comes back and explains it in their own way. What else have you learned about the difference between the platforms, and what has worked better for you in getting more engagement, and then ultimately also getting people to take action from your video and move into your funnel?
Yeah. The biggest thing as far as getting people to take action and move into my funnel has been messaging them directly, because now it's not just there's a link in my bio and people might click it right then. They might be like, oh, I'll come back to it later. But if they can't find your account later, that's a lost lead. This is right in your DMs right now. You can come back, you can click it right now. It sends to you instantly. There's a much higher conversion rate because of that, because people are actually clicking, and it's in their DMs. They have access to it. Now we've created a conversation. They can message me. I'll reply to them. That's, building a relationship. I'm not just some person on the internet that is just saying another link in bio. It's, you can message me and I'll message you back. Might take a little bit of time, but I'll message you back. And as for the difference between platforms, I'm still working on trying to master like Facebook, and TikTok's doing this. My second account now is at 60,000 followers, and that's taken a little bit more time than my first account. It took a little bit longer to grow. TikTok, for whatever reason, always likes longer videos. That's one thing that I've noticed, is that if I post a video where I'm talking, that's another thing, talking videos. I know it's intimidating, but talking and showing your face, showing you're a real person, sharing a little bit about your story and who you are, that makes such a difference for people, because they're like, this is an actual person. It's not just, I'm here to sell something to you, but I'm, Audrey Marie, this is my story. This is what's made a huge impact for my life, and it can make a huge impact for you too. And show people who you are. People like to see that. And also, if you show your face, and I know there are a lot of people scared to show their face.
Yes.
And you can do affiliate marketing without showing your face. I personally chose to show my face because it just made sense in my head that if you show your face and if you show that you're a real person, that increases trust. If people see that you see your face off the bat and you're talking about something, and now it doesn't need to be, there are tons of people that do it without showing their face. But for me personally, I was like, you know what, I just want to increase trust off the bat, even if I feel a little awkward seeing, putting my face on camera. It will increase trust. And if people trust you more, they're going to be a whole lot more likely to purchase what you're selling. And that's why I just push myself out of the comfort zone, even though at first I was like, can I do this without showing my face? Is there any way? And there are ways, but I realized that the more that I talked in my videos too, those videos performed better because there's just something about it. People like seeing other people and hearing from them. So and those perform well on across all platforms. I would say.
Yeah. I think that we're in an age right now to where people are extremely skeptical that something was created or is a bot. And I was literally just watching the documentary on Netflix that just came out about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And there was like so much controversy around like the fact that there were these kind of big Johnny Depp like fan groups and content that was going viral on TikTok. And when they actually clicked through and went back and did some of the research on some of these super viral videos, not only was the content created like from what appeared to be like a fake or bot account, but it was also being reposted and commented on by bots, right? So it was just weird. You'd have to watch the documentary for yourself to really, and I'm not taking or sharing opinions on the stuff. I'm just strictly talking about from a human, what we are skeptical of now on the internet. Because I mean, even look at the election stuff that happened in 2016 and all this other, everything else that's come out from a political standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, from even music plays, right? Artists who, there's been some artists who have popped up and gone really viral only to find out that their SoundCloud views were just all bots, right? That somebody had created a software script to just drive up their views to make it appear like they were really popular, but they were just bot views, right? And software can be easily created by anybody who knows how to code that sort of software to go and leave comments, to go and like post, right? So people know that, and they may not know all of the details and examples that I just gave, but we're all sort of skeptical in 2023 with artificial intelligence and just the limited knowledge that we may know about bots and sort of scams and sort of, even if it's the emails that we're getting about the king who needs us to send him, $10,000 to get $1 million released and then he'll split it with us or whatever. We're all a little bit skeptical. We're all a little bit kind of in protection mode. And we don't really care if it's only entertainment. Like if it's pure entertainment, then we're less skeptical because we're just looking for a laugh. But if it's something that we're like listening to that we may want to get involved with, right? Whether it's a political movement, cultural movement, whether it's a business venture or idea, that skepticism is going to go up a lot, right? Because now we're going from passively entertaining to actively potentially investing time or money into something. And so we're going to be a lot more skeptical, sort of like if we were looking for a relationship or a partner or something to kind of know, hey, who is this person? What are they all about, right? And so I think talking on video goes an incredibly long way to assure somebody that you are a real person. And it is very easy to tell if somebody is kind of consistently posted on their social media account. It's always them, and they're not looking. That's why the power of looking messy and normal is working so well right now in 2023, because one thing that may make somebody think that something's fake, right, is if it's too highly produced and there's a thought that maybe it's really some big corporation that's running this account, right? And it's not just a regular real person. And so how are you approaching your videos and embracing sort of working in your home. At first it can be uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
But then we begin to realize that it's actually to our advantage. How do you approach content regardless of what's going on in your house? How do you prepare, and how has your perfectionism also maybe lessened over the months as you've realized that it's not as important as you thought it was?
Yeah, the biggest area has probably been, well, because we don't have kids yet, there's not like a ton of noise necessarily, or craziness. And my husband works from home too, but he's, normally in the office if I'm filming videos or something. But the main thing has been with stories for me, because videos are, you're putting thought into them, and you can have some that are imperfect, whether it's, I'm dancing and I'm dancing badly, but I'm dancing. Those are things that I've kind of been trying to work through and get past when it comes to actual posts. But a lot of time, because posts are videos and I'm limited to a certain amount of time, I do try to have kind of planned out a little bit of what I'm going to say, just so I can like know I have, whether this is a 30-second video or a 90-second, whatever it is. But when it comes to stories, that was difficult for me, because on Instagram, stories is another thing that Instagram wants to see that you're posting. And I was like, what the heck am I supposed to be posting on my stories? People don't like about my life. This is boring. Like, I just live at home, I'm a pretty simple person. I'm, you know, I'm pretty just, yeah, I'm a simple person, as far as I'm not going out and doing crazy things all the time.
Right.
But people like my stories. This girl messaged me the other day, and she was like, I signed up for the $7 course through you, and your videos, like your posts, sorry, your stories, if I can speak, your stories show that you're just such a regular person. They're so relatable. It makes me have a lot of hope that this can work for me too, because of that. And that was just like really cool, because this has been, it started off with stories, like trying to make it perfect. And I was like, okay, maybe I can start like a series on my stories of tips and tricks, and it'll be like a perfect picture of me on screen with a bunch of tips and stuff like that. And that was one thing I did early on, just to have a story. But now I'm just like, at the gym, like, whatever I'm doing. I'm on the lake right now. Yesterday, I was on the lake with my mom and some kids that she nannies, and just showing people my life and what's going on a daily basis. And it's not always, glamorous, but people have liked to see that, apparently, because, I'm just a regular person like they are, and people are liking it. So don't be afraid, show, no matter how mundane you might think that your life is, or whatever. People have mundane themselves too, so
Yeah.
they appreciate seeing that.
They do. And I think people are really tired of the like celebrity watching, right? It's like, I mean, I'm not saying Kim Kardashian and all the celebrities are not still like interesting, but I think in a lot of respects, those kind of people have lost a little bit of their luster because they're so unrelatable, right? And now all of a sudden, we're not just following the Kim Kardashians. As a matter of fact, in some ways, those type of celebrities are almost turning us off. They're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of tired of this, right? Whereas the regular people who are just like hanging out in their house and actually creating cool stuff, saying cool stuff, like um, and they're relatable. They're just sitting on their couch. They're just going to the gym. They're just filming in their car, whether they have kids or not. A lot of people do film in their car nowadays because it's the only quiet place in their lives. But no matter what no matter what you're doing, the more relatable it is, it seems like in 2023, the more that people like it, because we're just at that point in society. Like, it doesn't need to be overanalyzed why we're there. It's just, we are there, people. We are there, to where we just went through a pandemic, and like, for example, like Ellen kind of got sort of canceled because she was like in like a 50,000 square foot mansion, and like was like, oh, it's so hard, and everybody was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm not commenting or having an opinion on cancel culture. I'm just kind of saying that it was a sign that society is no longer relating to or looking up to or thinking that it's cool, or trying to connect or relate to celebrities, right, anymore. They want to connect with people that they feel are like them, that have similar challenges and have similar lives and have similar fears. Vulnerability is an incredibly popular thing right now because we're all feeling vulnerable. I mean, like I said, we just got out of a pandemic not too long ago. People's livelihoods are still on the line. People don't want to go back to work. People don't want to sit in traffic. People want to be home with their families after they just were for a year and a half on lockdown. So society is feeling vulnerable with inflation, right? Prices going crazy, interest rates, through the roof. People can't afford to buy homes. We as a society feel vulnerable right now. Like, that's really, really important for those of you who want to understand the psychology of your audience. Like, society feels vulnerable. We feel vulnerable as people in this society right now. So the more that you can share in a safe way that has boundaries and is comfortable for you, the more that you can display and show vulnerability and having empathy for other people's struggles and not being blind, not trying to act like you're always happy or it's always good. That's the empathy that I'm talking about, where we can actually connect and people are like, oh shit, like, I like what you're saying, but I can also see that you're like showing me that you're a real person who also has struggles, and people appreciate that. Have you gotten more comfortable with your vulnerabilities and sharing more and more of who you are in your story?
Yeah, definitely. And it's something I'm continuing and continually approving, is just being more vocal about who I am, because it kind of started at first, not, I mean, there was a point at which it was uncomfortable. And then I got to the point where it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just like, why would people care to know about me? I'm just here to tell them about something that can improve their life. Where do I come in as far as where do they really care about knowing about me? But they do. And it actually makes them happier when they know about the person who is referring them to something that's going to improve their life or solve a problem for them. And and I found, like, one thing that I started off was like, I found Legendary through a mom that had 3 kids, and she was super busy. And I was like, this is so cool to see, because I'm like, if a busy mom with 3 kids can do this, I can definitely do this. And when I started, I was like, how are people going to relate to me? I'm relatively young. I don't have kids. Like, what is my, how are people going to relate to me? And seeing, people relate to the fact that you're a real person and just sharing about your life, even if they're not at that stage. I mean, there are moms with 4 kids who will, message me and they're like, okay, I'm going to get started on this. This is going to be incredible, blah, blah, blah. Because I've talked about how I'm able to do this in 2 hours a day from home, and they have 2 hours a day during nap time. So even if you're not exactly in the same stage of life, just sharing what you're doing and how it's impacting your life, even though it's impacting my life in a little bit of a different way, right? I'm able to save up now to start a family. It's still relatable to people because they're looking at it through the lens of, okay, this is the problem that it can solve. And even though we're not in the same stage of life, I still want my problem solved. So people relate to you even if you're sharing something and you're not exactly in the same stage of life as them. That's what I've found. And now I'm I'm like, if I get sick, like last week I was sick, and I'm sick again this week with a sinus thing, but last week I had a really bad sore throat and headache. And I just threw up a poll on my story, or a question. I'm like, does anyone have a home remedy for a sore throat? And tons of responses. People who are like, hope you feel better, and things like that. And people that I'm connecting to, and they're helping me, find some relief from my sore throat over here. So that's one way that I've seen that as I've shared more of my life, people feel more connected to me, and more engaged, and feel like they can message me about whatever. So it's been cool.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. And that's a great way to get engagement. It doesn't always have to be, I mean, there's so many cool tricks. And obviously, that was not a trick, it was a legitimate need that you had, and you just tapped into your audience.
Right.
And you kind of hit 2 birds with 1 stone. The first bird was you got some ideas for some relief for your sore throat. The other bird that got hit there was that that you got a lot of engagement,
Mhm.
right? You got a
Yeah.
lot of engagement. And that's a great tip to remember, folks, is that you don't always have to have a call to action for them to do something
Yeah.
that's like business related or that's going to get them into your funnel on every video. There's a lot of there's a lot of space in need and in results that can happen from just asking people a question and asking for their advice, just exactly like you did. There's one thing that people love more than anything, and that's to talk about themselves. And the second thing is to give advice to other people.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you kind of tapped into both of those things. We'll end with that tip and we'll let your throat rest here, and I hope that you get all of the healing that you need. And Audrey Marie, thank you for coming on this morning, even after being sick last and this week, and allowing us to celebrate your success with you. I mean, platinum, obviously, there's no requirement to be an affiliate here if you go through our education, but you chose to do that, and I'm honored and privileged. You hit platinum very quickly within a couple of months or a few months of beginning to take action. Had a $32,000 week last week. I mean, get the hell out of here. That's not a guarantee of income. Most people make no money at all. Okay, so let that be loud and clear. Anybody who buys information products out there on the internet or tries things makes no money at all. So I'm not saying that to try to create some false expectation for people. And there's lots of people who get results in between, and some, of course, who get results that are bigger than that. But I say that just to, of course, acknowledge your accomplishment, show people what is possible, and obviously say it out loud, because the most important person to celebrate your success, Audrey Marie, is you, my friend. And for you to be proud of you, and my God, we are proud of you. Your family's proud of you, and I hope to hell you're feeling the love. And so come back and see me in the future. Keep us posted on your journey. Keep rocking it. Stay legendary. And thank you for your time today.
Will do. Thanks, Dave.
All right. See ya. All right, my friends, there you have it. I mean, holy smokes. Okay. It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any more real than that. Once again, another amazing guest. And let me remind you that every guest that comes on every morning, I do not talk to, nor have I met before, unless they're a return guest. So, I mean, literally, I just pulled up at about 10 o'clock a.m. We went live 30 seconds later, and everything that you heard was completely off the cuff, completely from the heart. There were no questions that I sent to Audrey to tee her up or anything like that. It was just, she could have said anything, and any guest can come on here and say anything. It's really part of the dice that we choose to roll every morning with this show, and I think it's what makes it dynamic. And so let's go and support her, lift her up. Just because she's having incredible success doesn't mean that she doesn't also need support and need to feel your energy. And the more positive energy and support that you put out there, the more that you're going to get back. It's just the law of reciprocity. It's there's a reaction for every action. So go out there and take some positive action, obviously in your own best interest, but also to support other people. And my friends, we'll see you back here tomorrow, as always, for another episode. If you want to get a text reminder, just let me say this real quick. For those of you that are new, you can text WUL, the word or the letters WUL. It stands for Wake Up Legendary. WUL to 813-296-8553. I feel like a radio guy. Text WUL to 813-296-8553. Order now and we'll double your order. No, get a little carried away there. I don't think I would have made it as a pitch man like that, but it's fun to pretend sometimes. Be a little childlike, be a little playful, my friends. Get out there and be a little playful today. Be a little imaginative, be a little creative. Take a risk. You never know what's going to happen, my friends. And of course, stay legendary. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get on out of here. Peace.